What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. In this one, we'll be looking at two things that will absolutely transform your helicopter flying experience in DCS World, or any other flight sim for that matter, but we are using DCS because I think it's the best one around. As you can see, we're landing a Huey in a very confined, very small landing pad and some very heavy winds. This is something that would normally be very challenging. I think a lot of people would struggle with this, but like I say, with these two things, I think you'll be able to do the same and absolutely nail it every time. So let's get into it.
We have 2 good engine starts. You're clear to disconnect the headset. We'll see you on the left with the pin. Thanks a lot.
Alright, so let's kick things off here at the Lafarge Cement Factory, which is part of the Syria expansion for DCS, and we've got some brand new AH-64D Apaches, which is obviously just being unveiled, and everybody's flying them apart from me. I'm flying the good old Huey, just because I like it. Now, there are two things I think are absolutely crucial to being able to control a helicopter in the DCS world precisely the way you're seeing it now. We're just checking out the tail rotor of the Apache. We're just hovering right next to it. And the reason I'm able to do this is because all of this was flown in VR. Now, you're not seeing a VR picture right now because nobody is interested in seeing VR footage because it's a little bit boring, it's missing a lot of detail. But we are using VR in this particular case, and I've just made the recording in 2D just for your own entertainment. Now, VR is absolutely sensational when it comes to flying helicopters. I do believe there are certain limitations to VR, and I generally don't fly aircraft in VR. I do sometimes. I think it's great for dogfighting, but I also don't like the missing level of detail. You've got to crank the settings right down. The anti-aliasing is not quite as good. I have a Reverb G2, which I think is probably one of the best ones on the market at the moment, and generally I don't use that much, except if I fly helicopters. If you guys fly helicopters, VR is the way to go. Now, unfortunately, there's just no way around the fact that it is, well, it's bloody expensive, and you need to have a computer that can run it. So I completely appreciate that this may not be a solution to everyone. It's certainly not a cheap solution. But if you can afford it, flying helicopters in VR is nothing short of spectacular. And the reason it provides such a huge level of precision, like as you can see here, I would never be able to do this in 2D, partly because I just wouldn't know how close I am to an object, and of course in 3D you know exactly how close you are. You could be a centimeter away, you'll know that straight away. And of course this, for example, great example of energy management, where you just know the exact momentum of the helicopter. You've got a bit of peripheral vision, you can tell how the ground is moving underneath you. Basically, your brain really feels like it's hovering, and it really can pick up the minute little details of how the ground is moving underneath you or around you, even if it's your peripheral vision. Now in here we are taking off out of Incirlik, just doing the stock mission, checking out Incirlik Air Base. This is one of the stock missions for the DCS Huey, and we're just going to go out for a little jolly around the hangars. And whilst we're doing that, I'll show you the second thing I believe to be absolutely critical to flying helicopters, and this one you can do even if you can't afford VR, or you can't have VR because your computer is not powerful enough, which I completely understand. It is a 90mm extension for your stick. Well, in my case it's a 90mm extension. We're just flying past a couple of nukes there, and we're going to go check them out again, I think. Now, I don't know what you call this in a helicopter. Is this a stall turn, or is this a wing over? Some of you guys that fly helicopters, feel free to comment down below and tell me what you call that, because I'm actually not sure. Anyway, whilst we're doing our AT maneuvers here, you guys can have a look at my sim setup here on the right hand side. I'll show it to you, and it's all very homemade, but one of the things that I think is absolutely transformed my experience of flying basically everything, but especially helicopters, is this 90mm extension I have on my stick. And it has two effects. I mean, one, it gives you a longer throw, so it gives you more precision. And again, you can see how close we can get to these nukes here. Now, 2D, you just wouldn't be able to judge the distances, but in 3D, you just know straight away, and that's why we can hover so nicely. And I don't claim to be a great helicopter pilot, by the way. I haven't really got that many hours in a Huey. I'm certainly a lot less than any other module that I own. So I think if I could do this VR, I think most of you guys will be able to as well. And if you have an extension for your stick, even if it's not 90mm, it could be more, it could be less, but the range of motion is increased, therefore it gives you more precision. And the secondary effect is that you don't have to quite strain your arm or your hand quite as much to hold the stick in a certain position, because it becomes a little bit more loose. Now, I appreciate that having a very loose stick is also not particularly good or helpful if you're flying aircraft. If you fly fixed wing, you don't want to have that loose stick, but if you're flying helicopter, you do. So essentially you want to have some sort of compromise, and I think this 90mm extension, I'll leave a link in the description below. I think I got it off eBay, it wasn't very expensive, but it's absolutely transformational, and I think it's good for both aircraft and helicopters. I believe it's loose enough to fly helicopters with a decent amount of precision, as you can tell right there, but not loose enough whereby it ruins your fixed wing experience. And here is a great demonstration of flying in VR, where you can judge the momentum of the helicopter so well, and you just know exactly how much energy you got, and makes this kind of stuff quite easy. So we flew into a hangar, basically now I'm going to try and swing it back around and not hit any of the walls, and hopefully make it out alive. Now again, in 2D this will be very tricky. Now as you can see, I'm a little bit wobbly here and there, and again, I don't claim to be a great helicopter pilot, but this is literally just a demonstration of what you can do with a good setup and some VR flying. I mean, you could do it in 2D as well, but it is a lot more difficult, especially something like this where you're trying to get in between the tails of the A-10 and the peripheral vision and everything. It's just
Captain. That was awesome! That wasn't awesome! You ain't genius! I've never played a game that's this! Oh, I never should have doubted you, boy!
If you can get it for flying helicopters, I do recommend it. For fixed wing stuff, I'm not as crazy about VR, but for helicopters, I think it's just amazing. And here, especially when you're trying to judge your energy state and trying to come in, and in this particular case, we're landing on this tiny little building here to end the video, and yeah, VR and having that extra precision, like I say, if you can, I do very much recommend it. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. This is just my take, as usual, and if you have, please make sure to smash the living daylight out of the like button, subscribe for future videos, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Adios.